the whole purpose of this presentation was just so we could all share our experience through Eterna, how we felt, if we encountered any problems, or what are some good things that we saw within Eterna. And so we just wanted to target all of that. And we've been playing for June, so since June, so it's been like about 2 months. And previously to this, we've done bioinformatics-based research under Dr. Regisford. So we're all her lab rats, that's what we call ourselves. And we just wanted to share with you all our experience and how it's been with us playing Eterna. Okay, and so these were some key factors that I wanted to talk about. So the first thing that I wanted to mention was that it resembles a game. So this is one of the good things that I found, and I've loved playing Eterna even more because of this. So I can like listen to my music or play TV or listen to music and watch TV at the same time while playing Eterna. Is not like something that requires a lot of focus, and I'm not like required to concentrate a lot on the game. So that's something that I really enjoyed. Also, it doesn't feel like I'm like completing a class assignment or reading a procedure or anything like that. And so that's something that's been really fun for me. Also, it helps me just lose track of time and kind of like it, since it's a game or it resembles a game, kind of at the end of the day, it kind of just de-stresses me and I'm able just to play and have fun and not think of other things throughout the day that I've, been concentrating on and doing. And so that's one of the things that I've enjoyed about playing on Eterna, just because it does resemble a game so much and you're having fun, you're moving bases, going back and forth with viewing the sequences. So I've enjoyed that a lot. And one of the things that I wish this Eterna had an app so I could play it on my phone. And that's probably the only downfall that I saw in this, because sometimes my laptop's dead and I don't want to like move it. Since it's kind of big, I don't want to move it back and forth with me. So I feel like it would be easier if I had an app that I could download and view it on my phone. And then I also wanted to learn.
Angela, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Jonathan, do you want to just pipe in and say any day now? It'll be on the phone. Or maybe that's enough to say. Jonathan? No?
Yeah, I mean, we've just recently launched a number of improvements for mobile. That the idea is that it should be largely playable now. So,
I also want to comment that part of the reason that we are putting out an iOS app and an Android app. Actually, it's on iOS. It's on iOS, the Apple Store now. But part of the reason that we accelerated that and prioritized that is Daniela, is because of you and other peer review students telling us early on in June how important it might be to get this mobile playable. So thank you for that.
Yes. I feel like I would play it a lot more if it was just accessible on my phone, just because I'm always on my phone. And so another point that I wanted to mention is sometimes it's hard to understand the chat. So whenever I screenshot my level and I put it on the chat, sometimes like with the other players, it's kind of hard for me to really understand what they've expressed to me on how to advance to the next level. And I feel like that's one of the things that I've struggled with maybe just vocabulary words, or just reading it, like keep reading it for me to actually understand it. And if they're mentioning like a certain base that I need to focus on and just like, manipulate it and move it around, I feel like that's kind of the hard thing, just because I feel like I am a visual learner. So I feel like it would be a good thing to maybe have like a little Zoom or maybe like a little FaceTime feature within like maybe the website, just so I can actually like view other examples of other levels or other similar levels that in order for me to complete the level. I also love how before the game there's comments of other people who are struggling too. So I feel like before you start the level, there's like a little about the game. So it's like a little description, and then there's like comments below that and of other players like mentioning they need help, and this has been a hard level. So I feel like that just makes me feel better, because I know I'm not the only one struggling with that particular level. And it just helps me like feel like I'm not alone and that other people are having the same issues as me, just with like it's a hard certain levels are harder than other ones. So I feel like that kind of helps me. And then so overall I've enjoyed my experience with Eterna. I feel like that it's very interactive. I love all the players that have helped me so far, and even in the chat, everybody replies at least within that same day if you're struggling with a certain level, and they're really helpful. Everybody, this is a big community, so you won't feel like you're alone. And everybody really just tries to guide you and gives you the good advice. I've really just enjoyed my overall experience playing Eterna.
My name is Diana Varela. I am a senior of biology at Purdue A&M University. I am also a proud member of Dr. Regisford's lab rats. As Daniela mentioned, our focus is in bioinformatic research. We utilize bioinformatic tools to annotate a wide range of novel genes with focus on cancer-associated genes. Today, I will be taking time to talk about my overall experience on Eterna. I first started solving puzzles on June as well, when Eterna was introduced to my PI, Dr. Regisford, by Dusun. There are some things about my experience as any common player that I would like to share, and I will start by saying the amazing network opportunities that I found thanks to the Eterna interface. From the start, the support has been amazing. From the town hall meetings to the one-on-one meetings with Zoom and experience of Eterna such as Astro. I think that actions like that allowed me to build my network with professionals that I probably wouldn't have built without the Eterna platform. So to me, that was very important. Another key factor that I want to go ahead and talk about today is the skills that I attained from playing the Eterna game. By playing the game for only 2 months, I have obtained skills and knowledge that I wouldn't have achieved without the game. Patience, for example. On late nights when I was playing the game, I would get so frustrated by not solving a puzzle. Those puzzles where the energy is 0 and you have your puzzle stable, but then you have too many GCs, or when you have the right amount of GCs, but your puzzle energy is just history now. So it was kind of frustrating for me to get to that point, and I think that's what enhanced my patience skills. I had to let go and just call it a day. Asher will say, just leave this puzzle, come back whenever your mind is clear. And that's what I would do. But then again, when I came back the next day, the same thing would happen. So I'll just, I'll just move on to the next puzzle. I'm not going to worry about this because sometimes it was, too frustrating. Another skill that I think I've, enhanced, it's critical thinking. As I advanced through the levels, I noticed things were getting difficult. At the beginning of the puzzles, they were easy. I mean, you just had to follow the hints given in the puzzle, and then you were fine, right? But however, once you get to the lab, things change. You don't have the hint button anymore. You don't have the option. So now you have to implement things that you learned through the pre-lab puzzles. And if you're like a player like me who follow the hint instructions, you probably have a hard time, and you have to use your critical thinking skills when you get to the lab. I mean, you will probably cry a little bit when you get to the special knowledge 1 puzzles, which I did. And so, I mean, I'm just kidding. Probably Astro will come to the rescue. So the last thing on skills that I think, or the last most valuable asset that I have and I keep getting from Eterna is knowledge. I'm usually curious by nature, but learning more about RNA through the game has been sensational. I feel like learning how different foldings of RNA designs can lead to a different conformation was just an abstract concept to me. It was something that I knew from the books, but seeing it happening in a game, I think it was mind-blowing when I first saw it. So another thing is like biology taught me that, GC is a purine base, and it's the most stable base because of the triple or the triple hydrogen bonds that it has. But Eterna showed me how strong the GC pairs are. How can they stabilize a puzzle in no time? They're so powerful. And I just realized that through the puzzles, you just have to use a lot less GCs and more UA. So to me, that was kind of like, why, why are they making it like that to where I can't use a lot of UCs? So that's something that I'm still working and finding out. So moving on to the things that I wished I knew when solving the puzzles, I think like learning your terminology first was one of the things that I wished I learned before. I mean, when I got introduced to Eterna, I wasn't told how to do, things. And so please, I feel like for new players, they should know or learn their terminology first. Internal loops, external loops, multi-loops, hairpins, bulges, tri-loops, tetra loops, stacks, etc. You name it. There's a lot of like different words that I wouldn't know before playing the game. And once you share a screenshot to the chat box, and the experience, like the pros, experienced players come and reply with like, yeah, boost 55 on your hairpin loop. You are like, what? Yeah, you're lost. So I was lost. At least I was lost. Learning your terminology ahead of time probably will save you a lot of time, since you'll be able to understand the feedback that the pros are giving on that chat. Also, I think another thing I wish I knew were boosting. Lord, this helps. At the beginning, I only knew how to do GA boosts, but when I got to the labs, it didn't seem to be enough, so I had to figure it out. I had to figure something out. At the time, Astro sent me a link with boosting info, and to be honest, I didn't pay much attention to it. I mean, I was on Gene Synthesizer when he sent it to me, and Gene Synthesizer still has that following, the hint option. So to me, that was the way to go. I just follow the hint option, and that's enough. I mean, I would know how to solve it by following those instructions. But when I got to my first lab on the puzzle, I tried doing the puzzle on the COVID-19 labs. I had to refer to this precious piece of document. And by that, I mean the Eterna wiki. That's just amazing. That's just amazing, an amazing resource. I wish I knew before. I wish they had it before, or I wish there was like a little link to that specific, Eterna wiki, so that you can refer to it whenever you're playing a puzzle. I think that's a feature that a lot of people would appreciate. So this showed me, that Eterna wiki, they have everything. It's like a manual for things, and it showed me the many ways a loop can be boosted, from GA to UU mismatch. For example, like the G being at the lowest number position on the loop. So I didn't know things like that. I would just put the G, whatever, it boosted without not knowing that, the placement plays an important level on the overall energy of that loop. So, and lastly, things I feel I would have made, I feel that would have made my experience a better one. I feel like being able to maneuver different elements within the game prior to starting playing the game would have been helpful. Like, WikiHow. If I had Wiki, if I have found out about Wiki and read all the resources this site has prior to playing the game, it would have played an important role in my development as a player. So I think that sums everything up.
My name is Alexis Van Zandt. I'm a senior biology major with a minor in chemistry at Prairie View. I'm also a proud member of Dr. Regisford's lab rats research team. My slide is pretty simple because it wasn't too many things that I disliked about the game. I enjoyed it a lot. The first thing I really enjoyed was that Eterna helps users understand RNA and its functions. Although I took the biology course and I pretty much understood RNA, I feel like the game helped you I feel like the game helped you to not only understand it, but also kind of visualize it whenever you're not even on the game anymore. So like as of right now, when I study or when I'm studying things that's dealing with RNA, I kind of can see it happening in my mind thanks to the game. I enjoy the fact that it resembles a game because I play a lot of computer games, so I really enjoyed it. Like Daniela stated earlier, it's not really like, it doesn't make me feel like I'm in a course or anything. It's really a laid back game, so I enjoyed that. Also, the chat box. Okay, when I first started playing Eterna, you know, the beginning you have to do the levels, and it goes up to level 11, I believe. So it wasn't really that difficult, like Diana said, to as long as you follow the hints, you are fine. And the chat box, I couldn't really understand like the terminology of what some of the other players were saying. So even when I got stuck somewhere through the levels, I kind of couldn't rely on the chat box because it was hard for me to understand all of the comments. And it got more difficult as I got to the lab trials. Yes, each puzzle got more difficult when I made it to the lab trials. But one thing I liked about the lab trials were before you make a RNA molecule, say you're finna make tRNA, it shows you exactly how it functions. It'll tell you to drag it here and allow it to do the functioning so that you can see what kind of function that particular RNA molecule is going to do that you will be making. So I enjoyed seeing that. It actually helped me a lot when it was time to do the puzzle. But as far as the puzzles in the lab trials, they were very they started getting very difficult. I was kind of getting frustrated because I didn't have like any hint. I couldn't understand the chat box. So I had to remember things that I learned from the levels 1 through 11. And I enjoyed the game, but overall I enjoyed the game. It's very interactive. It helps me recall RNA. I can kind of tell other people now exactly like what it does and how it functions. I can visualize it happening. So I like the game overall. It's just the chat box kind of made it difficult during my experience. When I reached the lab trials, I didn't understand anything they were saying in the lab box. In the chat box. So it wasn't really helping me that much. I had to try to like find other ways to solve the puzzle and things of the sort. But that's all for me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eleni Collins. I am a senior biology major minor in chemistry at Prairie View A&M as well. I am under Dr. Regisford in her lab rats research team. So a couple of things I wanted to point out. It has already been pointed out, but it is a great and very engaging way to achieve DNA folding. Like Miss Alexis has said, going through the biology course, we have a very good understanding of how RNA needs to, the bases and what they're for and what it connects to. But the game really makes you, it emphasizes more practice on it. So I thought that was amazing. Challenging puzzles. Oh my gosh. Going through each level, it just got more and more challenging. You had to think of the energy, you had to think of the calorie. It was just, more things started to add on, and I was like, oh goodness gracious. But there were times where I had to step back and be like, okay, let me cool off this for a minute. But I really enjoyed it. Though it was challenging, it makes you learn. And like Miss Diana said, it makes you think about what you need to do. It's comprehensive. So I love that. Screenshot feature is amazing to see what other players are in their puzzles to extend help. When I saw that, I thought that was a really cool feature. I wanted to point that out because I think I asked for help for one of the puzzles, and I didn't really know how to explain where I was at. And it was like, oh, screenshot it and send it to the chat. and I got help. So I thought that was amazing. The help box is somewhat helpful. However, it can be difficult to reach players and catch them when they are online. I'm a very busy person. I'm not able to be on Externa during the daytime. Usually when I'm playing Externa, it's at night. So I do like, as mentioned before, I do like how you're able to see the comments from beforehand, before you even hop on there. However, I guess you could say it's hard for me to catch help sometimes due to the simple fact that I work during the day and I'm playing late at night. And that's when most people are not on. And it's not mobile friendly. But I see in the chat it's been mentioned that it's available now mobile. So I'm excited about that, being able to play anywhere, not just on your laptop. So that's going to be helpful for students that might be playing, when we expand it to other students. But overall, I think it's an amazing game. I love being able to play with the bases, and getting the hit button is amazing when it's there. So yeah, overall, I love Externa, and I'm going to keep playing. And yeah, thank you for letting me present.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina Littlejohn. I'm a junior at a biology major, chemistry minor at Prairie View A&M University, and I'm also one of Dr. Regisford's lab rats and on her research team. One of the things that I like about Eterna is that it allows you to get a better understanding of the RNA molecule and being able to use the knowledge that we attain in our classes, in our science classes, to better interact with the molecule and understanding how it works, and going through puzzles. My next point is that it is, as stated previously, that it's not mobile friendly. In the age that we live now, I believe that having a mobile app will make it more accessible to students, especially this generation. Everyone has a mobile phone or a tablet or an iPad. So being able to have it in an app will allow users to access it more easily. Another thing that I enjoy about Eterna is the comment section under each puzzle. I remember Daniela stated earlier that it allows you to see other players if they've had difficulty on the same puzzle that you're playing right now, and it lets you know that that they that you're not alone in this as well. My next point that I like about Eterna is the fact that it does resemble a game. So while you're learning, you're also able to have fun. And I believe that's important, especially whenever you're learning, so that you're not feeling like, you're, like Daniela said earlier, that you're having to go through a lecture, or that, you're having fun. And that, I believe that's one of the main things that's important about Eterna, is that it keeps you engaged, because it's very appealing to the eye. On the website, it looks like a game. And my last point would have to be that there's a great community. I remember on the first town hall meeting, everyone was very nice, especially to the Prairie View A&M team. Everyone welcomed us with open arms, and everyone is still very kind to us today, and even with allowing us to be able to present today at Eternacon. So thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Chelsea Narcisse. I'm a senior biology major at Prairie View A&M, and I'm also a part of Dr. Regisford Lab Rats research team. And I have like a lot of things to say about Eterna. I love Eterna, the game. And it's a great puzzle game that encourages players who love science-related things to build different RNA structures to possibly develop a vaccine in the future. And I also love how this program uses 3D modeling to create images and graphics that look to have 3D dimensions. And I also love how Eterna have cognitive feedbacks throughout the game, so the players can learn the rules while playing the game instead of understanding the game by reading massive rules. And I also wish Eterna was, well, I wish it have a mobile app, and y'all said that y'all gonna develop a mobile app. So thank you. And I wish Eterna have mini tutorials for every level. Well, not every level, like the levels that's hard. I wish they have like mini tutorials so it can be, because I'm sorry, I'm a visual learner, so I need to like see like an example of it to like to figure out the game. So I wish they have mini tutorials instead of having like the help box. But the help box is always, I mean, it's also helpful, but sometimes it's like a hit and miss. So I wish we had mini tutorials for the game. But overall, I love Eterna, and thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, I would like to make a comment as people are typing into the Q&A. I just thought that was an amazing presentation. Thanks to all of you for taking the time to basically do this internship this summer under the guidance of Dr. Regisford. Thank you for joining our community, and thank you for giving these presentations. This is just extraordinarily helpful. I did have a specific question. I think it was both Daniela and Chelsea said you're visual learners, and you had some suggestions for how you could have gotten unstuck more quickly. And I wanted to ask, particularly maybe Chelsea, you talk about putting in mini tutorials, and what form would those tutorials be in? What would be most useful to you? Could they be videos on the level coming up?
Videos, for
Yeah?
sure, videos.
Okay, so that seems like it's a very concrete and doable thing. And so one challenge to the rest of the Eterna community and the Eternal Players Alliance, I know Leonard is thinking about this, is could we create such mini tutorials for every level and have links out that show up on the help? I can imagine that being extremely powerful. That's great. It was just great to hear that from you.
Yeah, and I'll also just pop in real quick that we actually, Leonard and I talked to Sharif yesterday, actually. And one of the things that we noted is that even just in many cases, the hints just aren't very good. So we just need to improve the hints. And it's not even necessarily, whereas in some cases, video tutorials can be very beneficial, but there's a lot that we can do just by improving what's already there.
I think the thing that I didn't understand before your talks, particularly on that point from both Daniela and from Chelsea, is that the idea is that some of us don't understand from reading. I also have this issue. I'm a visual learner, so it takes me a long time to understand when someone gives me a text hint. But if I am able to get a hint through video or through a picture, then I can get it immediately. So that's useful. I have one other question for you. I'm not sure who to direct this to. Maybe I can ask. I can ask everyone, but several of you talked about how important it was to have help from the wiki, to have help from Astromon in the chat and others. But then how much of your Eterna play involved you talking to each other at Prairie View?
Can you repeat the question?
So as you were going through, particularly the puzzle progression, one thing I was wondering is how much time did you spend talking to each other or communicating to each other about how to get past certain levels?
Okay, so I think Lando is here as well. I think Lando and Astra were the most helpful just because I play at night as well. I would start at 9 p.m. and sometimes it will be 3 a.m. and we would be talking about the stars, Astro. So it was like as we were progressing through the levels, sometimes it will be so late that I would appreciate these people staying up playing with me. And so I'll be like so frustrated sometimes playing the game. To me, I feel like it was just a network. I just became part of these social group, and I can trust them to, reach them outside my comfort zone. I had a lot of meetings with Astro regarding Eternacon. He volunteered to take time out of his schedule to, guide us, had a Zoom meeting with us to check our progress through the presentation, because at first we had something very, very formal, and now it was something that Dr. Regis first said, I don't think it's going to be so formal, guys. Go ahead and just change it up a little bit. And so we asked Astro, can you please help us, just guide us through the process. I know you've been to other Eternacons, and so it would be nice for you to give us your feedback. And so he did, and it was, I think, 1 hour we started talking about Eternacon, and we ended up talking about other projects that I have going on, and so I think that's just a amazing way to go. But when it comes to playing the actual game, I would say I would spend from 9 to 3, 4 in the morning sometimes on the pre-labs.
Yeah.
So
well, okay. Thank you. So I didn't understand that. I think I naively thought that having so basically it was important to have mentorship from Astro and some sort of like I don't know, like a voice to help you through when you were playing at odd hours. It seems like that was really important. Okay.
Yeah, it is. I think having the support from professionals, it's good. We have Dusun kind of like on the front line, telling us this is going on, but we have back support where Dusun is not playing right all the time.
Right.
Plays, he's not there. But at the time when I have that struggle, that okay, what to do now? I feel like I think it's Lando and Astro. I mean, they're the people I see the most, to be honest.
That's great.
And
yeah.
So, yeah, I think that thank you. I always thank them. So like, especially Astro, because I know I bother him so much. He'll be like, "Here, I'm gonna connect you with this person to do this and that." Like, changing my something so simple by changing my ID name. He was helpful doing that. So I think that was amazing.
Thank you for answering questions. We have questions from board, although one may have disappeared.
Yeah.
Would you like me to ask them? Okay. So he says, something I noticed is that it seems like nomenclature was an issue that many of you ran into. Would any of you like to comment on that for board?
Yes, my name's Alexis. I was the one who spoke on that. So sometimes when I needed help during the game, the help box is there, and then I'll try to look through the chat and ask for help. So whenever someone would respond, I kind of didn't understand what they were saying to do during the game. So it kind of didn't help me. Like, I didn't understand the terminology and things that they were using when they were trying to be helpful and help me, go to the next level and complete the puzzle. I didn't understand what they were saying sometimes. So the chat box kind of really didn't help me. I kind of still struggled sometimes just because not because they weren't helpful, but just because I didn't understand exactly what they were telling me to do.
And I'd just like to tag on to is that something that we've talked about before as a potential, it's a little bit of a larger project, but the ability to do kind of something of multiplayer Eterna where multiple people can be working on the same puzzle at the same time. And that's potentially something that could help as well, not relying on textual explanations for things, but actually being able to work in the same interface. It's something that we've talked about and would probably take a fair bit of work, but it's another thing that's interesting to at least think about.
So would you like to talk now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's slightly off topic and then it gets back on topic because we're talking about the progression puzzles and hints and people's experience, first experience coming into this. I'm curious, the question is it eFold going to become, our standard engine? And if so, wouldn't it behoove us to transform the progression puzzles into the eFold engine? And certainly everything everybody said is valid, and I loved hearing the stories about people's experiences, but
let's revisit that question during the Eternafold talk after we present eFold. I think that's a question for the entire community and the developer team.
Yeah, I think as a short answer, I think the answer is probably yes, at least from my perspective.
Okay.
But I think there's a lot of really interesting implications in, that we've talked about before, is that really we could do with reworking our tutorial progression to even be somewhat model agnostic, to really enforce the idea that, not the models aren't perfect. So how can we talk about, like, okay, so what are the things that we know are true? What are the things that we can kind of look at as model quirks, and how do you know when you're in the labs, what should I believe, what should I not? That's something to consider. Just the fact that our tutorials need a lot of work, period. It's not just transforming what we have, but we could really probably do with a fresh eye on things from the ground up to make the learning process better and less frustrating, honestly. And there's also interesting implications about, from a gameplay perspective, of moving the energy model that we kind of focus on, and we still don't have a great understanding of Eternafold yet because it's still new to us. So there's a lot of interesting potentially.
Why don't we talk about this a little bit more later?
The other question is directly related to this. Is the chat room is now divided into 3 different. One is for general chat, one is for labs, and one's for help. Do people feel like that's being utilized? Because most of the time it seems like the general's still being used for everything, and
there is one particular thing that should hopefully improve that, with the version of the chat that Alex is working on, which is yet another overhaul. There will actually be proper notifications for other channels, and so you'll know when people are typing in the other channels. I think that's one big reason why people aren't using the other channel, is because people might not see it. So that, I'm imagining that could improve that.
Excellent. Thank you for letting me be a momentary panelist.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Jonathan, well, maybe any other questions, because maybe we should take a break before the next talk at 2:30 Pacific time. I can't do my.
Yes, we do have a break scheduled right now. I think there's some really great discussions that can be had around this topic. And I think I encourage people to have those conversations in the forums, on Discord, and elsewhere. And we'd be happy to hear it. But I think probably now we should head off on our break for the next 20 minutes. And we'll see everyone back after that.
Thank you, Prairie View. That was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, you guys.